Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ask ServiceMonster show, where you've got questions about your service business, and we've got your answers. Today, our ongoing series, The $1 Million Club. How do you scale your business? I'm talking to the mostly small guys, right? There's only 6% of the industry that earns over $1 million a year, and I'm bringing them in to find out what their origin stories are and what their secret to success, what their special sauce, whatever they did in order to drive themselves to success. Today I've got Doug Bursma and Jay Young from Northwest Professional Services. They service Whatcom County here and provide a plethora of services, so I'll let them tell you their story, but I'm excited for this series, and you know, through this journey I'm going to hear a lot of yeah but Joe, I don't have 40 years to build my business. Yeah, but Joe, I don't want to serve the entire Eastern Seaboard. Yeah, but Joe, that dude came from Singapore. These are excuses. Like, that's the thing that's stopping you from succeeding. Like, find the yeah buts, remove them, and find out how can I replace that with the ability to say, oh, I've only got a handful of things. I need to baling wire, some duct tape, and some gum, and MacGyver this shit out, right? So I'm trying to bring you these stories so that maybe a little bit of this stuff will rub off. Maybe that will be the key for you to move forward, or a change in your business model that'll make it happen. So, Doug, thank you so much. Jay, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Guys, Doug, pretty much Jay's going to sit here and look pretty today. You guys know Jay, but this is the origin story, how you got your first million, how you got started. Tell us the story about Northwest.
Okay, well, first of all, that's pretty.
Right.
You know, my start has a lot to do with this building.
This building?
This very building.
That ServiceMonster is located in. I had
This
no
was
idea.
one of my first accounts. It was Michael R. Ellison, who was an agent for Kenneth Copeland and Jimmy, the televangelist,
Jimmy Swaggart?
Jimmy Swaggart.
Wow.
And so this was a very posh, plush office.
It's not that way anymore.
And it had long twist fiber carpets that were purple, that thick.
Wow.
And everything was gold plated and brass and bronze and you name it, marble. I mean, for some reason I saw lots of money coming through this, and they just happened to be one of my janitorial accounts, one of my first buildings. And so I came in here every day and emptied their garbages for them. And my start really came, you know, as a kid, helping my grandfather in the church. He would have me help clean the church and scrub and wax the floors and wash the windows and clean the carpets. And as a kid, I kind of learned that. He had, for a small period of time, he had a business called DuraClean. It was a franchise, and that was in Yakima. And then he retired, came up to Linden, and he was the church janitor. And I would help him occasionally. And I really liked that work, and I learned how to do it. I learned how to strip and refinish floors. I learned how to clean carpets, wash windows, and I learned, you know, the basics of facility maintenance. And so that's kind of, and then I started doing it for my father, who had an electronics store in Linden. And people started seeing me at night buffing his floors and saying, hey, can you do mine too? And then a grocery store opened up in Linden. They saw me doing my dad's floors and washing his windows. They says, can you do ours? Now I had to buy equipment. I had to buy a truck to haul the equipment. And I had to do it on a regular monthly basis. That's kind of how it started. And at that point, I was a junior in high school at Linden Christian. And, you know, and funny story, the next year, my senior year, I was an annual staff photographer, so annual staff had our own office. And I had janitorial supply salesmen coming to meet me during my annual staff hour, because I had my own office at school. And my school had no idea that I was conducting business for my company. And I had my employees, which was the students
Not
in
selling
school.
drugs or anything
No.
like that. No, selling cleaning.
Right.
Yeah, and my students, my classmates who were helping me on cleaning floors at night, they would come to the annual staff office, and I would write their payroll checks and talk about the schedule.
Your studentship, like, were you a good student?
No, I really wasn't all that smart. I had to work pretty hard to get a B.
Right.
So I was like a B minus average. That's why I never did drugs, because I knew that I didn't have enough brain power
To lose.
To lose. I couldn't lose. So
Yeah. One part of the story I want to key on real quick here, and that's the concept of you effectively landed an account that you couldn't service, but using that promise of service, leveraged the ability to purchase equipment to perform the service. Right? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it
'Cause
was.
you're what, 17 years old?
It was Sprouse Wright's store in Linden, and I had cleaned windows for a couple people's homes, and my work orders were usually $20. Wash windows in and out.
What year?
1974.
Yeah, let's give some perspective
Yeah.
here, kids.
And that same job would be 10 to 15 times that now, but
Of course.
I didn't know what to charge. I was just happy to. It was more money than I was making, milking cows or baling hay.
Right.
But this store manager came to me. It was the Sprouse Wright store, Brian Breckenridge, and he says he saw me doing my dad's floors next door, and he says, "I'll give you the contract to do my floors every 5 weeks, $110 each time you do it. I'll write you a check the next morning." I said, "Yep, sure." Well, the first night, it was the construction cleanup. I spent 13 hours in there with 2 other guys and made $110.
Right. And at that point, you're like, oh, I got to say no sometimes, right?
Yeah. And okay, now I need to buy an auto scrubber, right? An actual machine that you can push down the auto, $2,500.
Right.
Oh, now I need a truck. So my dad gave me a loan to go out and buy a van for $1,800, and I made a ramp, and I had all my machines in the back of my dad's electronics store, Lloyd's Electronics in Linden. And then one day Dad came to me and says, "You're starting to take up too much of the space in the shop, so find a place." So it just kept going from there.
So some of that DNA still persists in the company, where we talk about that all the time, putting the cart before the horse. And a lot of times that we recount that story all the time about how we become a diversified company, and largely it's by seeing what the market demand is and finding a way to say yes.
Yeah, we believe that capability precedes opportunity.
Yes.
Yes.
So this last week I hired another window washer. Don't have enough work for him. This afternoon he's doing this. But you know what? I'm much more apt to get out and sell window cleaning now.
Right.
Because I got a guy that's raring to go.
Moving the ball forward.
Yeah.
Instead of complacency that comes from, I'm comfortable, things are okay.
Well, that's human nature. Yeah. Human nature. 99 out of 100 people are going to go there.
Yeah.
It's rare.
It's not just human. Animal species, the same thing. Crabs don't find their next shell until they're uncomfortable in the one they're in.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, so you're 17, 18 years old, you're running a legit business now. Mm-hmm. You've got some people working for you. You're managing some schedules.
It was called Doug's Janitor Service.
There you go.
And then I soon found out I needed to change the name, because what I found out was what I really got my kicks off was doing the technical, difficult cleaning tasks, cleaning or restoration tasks that people really couldn't figure out how to do or do right. I didn't want to be that guy that came and cleaned some lady's shower stall once a week.
Right.
That I needed to go somewhere else.
Although you do now have maid services that you
Yes.
both commercial and residential.
Yes, but I want to be the guy that comes and restores your shower because you've got a soap scum and mineral deposit that you've tried everything on, you can't get rid of it.
Right.
And I want to find a way. There's not a morning that I don't watch at least 3 or 4 YouTube videos trying to find a better way to clean a gutter or a roof.
Still today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because it's a constant changing.
Always.
There's new tools, new brushes, new truck mounts.
So see, now that's interesting to me. I was a poor student in a constructed public environment when I was told but I am a consummate student throughout my business life.
Yeah,
right?
I think there's a difference between being a good student and an infinite learner.
Yeah.
You know.
Intellectual curiosity.
Yep.
Never willing to give that up. Always willing to look for the better approach.
Yeah.
So when did you hit your first million? What year? Do you remember?
No.
Because you're just moving. It's not like this huge thing, right? It wasn't. It just went by.
Maybe 12 years ago.
Probably.
So, all right. So you're moving forward, and you're just. It seems to me like, life is you just falling forward, continuing to learn and grow, and then just looking and taking these next baby step opportunities as life moves forward.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a better way to live, right? I mean, to me, it's not about money.
Right.
I had to get beyond that. And Jay resonates with that same way of thinking. We just live in more of a
Service.
well, we live with a trust.
Mm-hmm.
We just trust in that thing where we know the money's going to be okay if we're just taking care of the people.
Right.
It's not about focusing on that dollar bill. It's focusing on George and Susan Smith and how wonderful people. And we try to know the names of their dogs or their kid, and we know if George is in the hospital for some reason. We know that. We want to know about them. When Mrs. Smith calls, a lot of times I'll say, "Oh, you're the one with the beige Berber carpet with the funny stain in the middle that we've been trying to get rid of for years." So you still got that carpet, It's about the relationship, and we realize that they're asking us to do it because they need it done.
That's right.
They're gonna find someone to do it.
They have a problem. They need it solved.
Yeah.
But I think you learn better. You learn better in the school of hard knocks than you do in the classroom.
No
Yeah.
question.
So
Yeah, and I think this probably resonates with you being in a SaaS industry, but when you have a fundamental systemic issue, and you try to scale on top of that.
Yeah, you're scaling your fundamental systemic issue.
Yes.
Your problems scale as you do. Yes. So you went from 1 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
What was some of the key points of really bringing that scale to bear?
Mm-hmm.
What systems and procedures have you guys implemented in those last took you 25 or 30 years to get to $1 million, and then doubled it in 4 or 5. So
Yeah. Well, I can speak to the last 12 years that I've been in the business, and then in the last 5 to 6 more seriously in an operations role. But a lot of it has to do with just really systematizing things, really focusing on the fact that if you want to scale and you want to grow it, you've really got to focus in on those pinch points so that you don't see them escalate further down the road.
Yep.
And you're not, you're not scaling your systemic issues.
Iterative improvement. That's what we
Yes.
do here. So you guys have multiple divisions. So let's talk about your general business model as it stands
Okay.
today. Right, four divisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Yeah, so what happened was when we started talking with our accountant, he said, your numbers are all out of whack with the national average. And so I realized we were running 4 businesses, each of which could be replicated with a competitor in the area. Like, for instance, one division was janitorial service. And so what we did is we put everything into the janitorial service department, that if that department went away, those costs, those employees, that part of the business would
isolation. Right?
Yeah, isolation. So we isolated
Separation
that.
of concerns.
And then we could compare and have a manager running that division that is doing it pretty well in the same way that in the world they're competing in.
Right.
So janitorial service, which has to do with office cleaning and emptying garbages, vacuuming, dusting, facility maintenance. Then we have what we call supply, and we have
That's my favorite one because almost no one does this.
Yeah, but you know what? We have one huge customer for our supply, us.
Yeah.
And so we buy the things that we use every day.
Yep.
And then the customers that come into the store say, hey, you guys must know what to use for this. And whatever you tell me to use, I'll trust you.
Yeah.
Because I think you've probably researched it. And so when our customers come in, we're their answer person for their difficult cleaning problems. And while they're in there buying, some Carpet Bright to put in their rug doctor that they're renting, we'll say, oh, by the way, here's what it would cost for us to do it, and you won't have to go to the chiropractor afterwards.
Yeah, so just clarifying here, because I think we were a little muddy. They have a retail store as part of their shop as well. And they stock that with all of the supplies that the other 3 divisions need to operate. Each one of those divisions then, I don't want to use the word purchase because that would be a taxable event.
Yeah.
But you transfer that liability account or that
Yeah,
asset
and then there's
account basically into
Washington.
those division.
Washington State has a kind of a nice excise tax that that we use for transferring it in our company. So we pay the taxes on it, but we pay in a different way. So we do save. But anyway, toilet paper, paper towels, trash can liners, all the stuff that our janitorial customers use. Anyway, supply is another division. It's a very small division of our company. The next one is what we call tech services. So technical services. This is where you probably have a route and a truck and a trained and certified technician doing some type of work that requires robotics or equipment or chemicals or training and
Refinishing
skill.
floors,
Yes.
running a buffer.
Yeah, carpet cleaning, furnace duct cleaning, pressure washing, tile grout cleaning, marble polishing,
Right.
Floor refinishing, regular VCT tile, all the way to sanding and refinishing wood floors.
Right.
And all of those technical services require employees that have certification and training in the things that they do. Carpet repair. Right. I mean, we've got two guys on staff that do carpet installation and repair. Not a lot.
As the client's need, as your book
right,
needs.
yeah.
Yeah.
And my knees can only do so much, so I like to take maybe just 2 carpet repair jobs a week.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the tech services, and that's been kind of the biggest part of our business until Jay showed up, and we had Jay running our 4th division, which is restoration, emergency services and restoration.
Yep.
And Jay has really ramped that up and made that something a lot more solid. I mean, we've done it forever.
Which is really the hardest of the 4 divisions. I mean, managing long-term projects, damage, build-out, subcontractors, net 30 payments. Like
I would say it's the most
whole-
complex.
For sure.
Yeah, and the accountant never can figure out why we can't do projections, because how are you going to start a flood?
Yeah.
And so it's all as the work comes in, it's all over the map.
Right.
But
I always say you can't advertise for your restoration services. You send out postcards. Hope you
Yeah.
have a flood. Call
Yeah.
us when you do.
it's like the Undertaker,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and this is the thing that will make or break your if you're doing restoration, and this is the little gem that I should probably be charging lots of money to give to you.
Sure.
Okay, so this is a huge gift
Okay.
to the restoration world,
I'm all ears.
and it's understanding the psychology of the homeowner when they're walking on their carpet and it's going slosh, or when the ceiling is dripping, or when they just burned the roast and they can't be in their house because it smells so bad. The words that they're so used to hearing, well, we charge this much an hour, are you willing to pay that? They're used to hearing, well, we don't have a technician available right now, but we'll get someone out there as soon as we can, stand by. They don't want to hear, can you wait till Monday? You know what they want to hear? We're on the way. I mean, think about it. When you call 911 and you're having a heart attack or your house is on fire, are you going to spend any time negotiating? No. Just get here, get the fire out, right? And so, I don't care if they don't have the money to pay me. When they call and say, got a flood, you know what? We're coming. We'll work the money stuff out later.
Right.
We're coming. We're
Serve
on the way.
people.
And a lot of times, I'm not actually telling them the truth when I say we're on the way.
You've got to call
The
a handful of
minute
texts to try
the
to-
minute I hang up the phone, I go, holy crap, someone has to get there. Okay, let's start looking at resources.
Yeah.
And I've got a gal that's been in our office. Dawn's been with us for what?
About over 20
20 years. I'll send her. She's never sucked rugs, but I'll send her to stand and hold the hand
That's
of the
right.
lady if I have to.
Just to let them know that they're here.
Someone's going to be there right now, and that's and even if to say, you know what, John is finishing up on a carpet job. He's wrapping up his equipment right now, and he's on the way, and he should be here in about an hour. But we let them know that we got this.
Yeah.
We got this. Don't worry about the money. Let's get this sucked up, and we'll talk about other developments about restoring your home or further drying or whatever. Let's figure that out when the chaos is gone. When we can think rationally, because homeowners are not completely rational.
And I think you can articulate this point, right? That homeowners come first. They want somebody there, and of course I hear the but, which is the question to you: how many times have you lost on that? We're on the way, and then on the backside, not able to get paid. I mean, that's the fear that everybody's going through their mind as you say, we're on the way, we'll solve the money issue later. Oh, I'm not going to get paid. The insurance company's going to be a pain in the ass. The homeowner's not going to pay me the deduct. Like a million different things will go through other people's minds saying that can't use that model.
This is just one thing that we do. If we find that customer that just doesn't have the resources, we'll huddle and say, do we want to help these people? And I get a little choked up, but
because that's the big win, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that 1% of the time that happens, and then you look the homeowner in the face and you're like, look, I understand where you're coming from. We can work something out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That just sets their mind so much at ease in the event of a disaster. That's what they've been dealing with.
Yeah, and some of those we've had fun with, where it's Christmas and, it's a week from Christmas and their house is soot all over. And there was one particular house that we just decided, everybody on the crew got together and we decided, you know what, darn it, they are going to be in their house on Christmas. They're going to have a Christmas tree and presents. That's what it's about.
That's so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was fun. That made my year.
So
it's not about the money.
So what's interesting to me is I asked you a question to tell me about the losses, but you told me them as wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, another way to answer is, how often have we gotten burned? It's not often enough to really mention when it's compared with the greater good that's coming out of saying yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got burned.
Sure.
It happens.
Cost of doing business, right?
Absolutely.
Deal with it. Yeah.
But it's not enough. It's not like 50%. It's not like 20%.
Oh,
It's
no.
not like 10%, 5%. It's like 1/4% or 1%.
I'll tell you this, when you start winning, you forget about those losses really quick.
Yeah.
And, I think one thing I hear a lot about is, you have carpet cleaning companies, and, you hear it when the guys go to the training classes, and if you listen, there's a lot of carpet cleaners out there that have heard the real money's in restoration.
Right.
Just a word of caution to carpet cleaning companies who are thinking about spinning up into emergency services. I'm all about it, and I highly recommend doing it as a means to scale. But just know that if you are going to take the step to be an emergency service company, your mindset has to change.
Yeah.
It really does, and I think that would be my one cautionary tale, that you need to be in that mindset where anything can happen anytime, and without fail, it usually happens at the most inopportune time.
Yeah.
I just want to touch on this real quick because what's interesting to me is kind of the twist where you have the carpet cleaner who I'm preaching to not be transactional, to mind their book, build a long-term relationship.
Yes.
And that takes a certain mindset. But here we have an industry where we've talked about this is transactional. A flood happens and it's a transaction. Now, wait, no.
Okay.
Don't argue me like yes, they go in the book.
Gotcha.
I get it, right? I get it.
Yeah.
But you have to be more empathetic even for that transactional opportunity than you would be to a long game with a standard residential plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that another twist on that is, we're not part of any of the vendor networks for our emergency service department, because of our book. And it's,
What do you mean by vendor network?
so like we're not any of the preferred vendor networks for like
For insurance.
contractor connections for
Okay.
insurance. We're not part of any of those networks.
So you don't maintain relationships with specific insurance people,
Yeah.
Not the
Well, not
networks,
in that way. Yeah.
but the adjusters we do. And,
just because you work with them.
right.
Mhm.
And
But
this
who's
is-
your client at the end of the day? Who calls you?
It's the customer.
Right.
The
It's the customer.
customer's name is on the work order, not the adjuster, not the carrier. We're working for the customer, and that just goes into everything that Doug's been talking about here. It's relational versus transactional.
Right.
And when you've built your business on the relationship, it solves the problem of you can't sell someone an emergency.
Right.
The only thing you can do is position yourself to where you're the obvious, ubiquitous choice for when they do encounter that.
Right.
Mhm.
All right. So obviously we can sit here and talk business all day long. What I'd like to do now is just focus on one thing. Let's say you've got a new guy. He's broke through the barriers, $250K a year, right? Just ready to grow and do that business thing where he's like office person. Like, what advice would you give them based off your experience? How to grow and scale their business?
Don't expect it to happen overnight, and keep doing what you're doing.
It's funny how that just is always the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Persistence, just
Yeah.
absolutely, just never unrelenting. Just keep
Stop.
going.
The question you asked was based on money, and you're
'Cause that's
asking the
where
wrong.
these-
You're asking the wrong question.
No, I'm asking the question that they're asking.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is shift their I've already made the goal.
Right.
I've already seen it glide by, and it wasn't even a milestone for me. Just like you. Like I woke up one day and we were just like, oh, cool. It's not a big deal. These guys are obsessed with it. Because when you're a single owner operator struggling to pay your bills, getting declined at the grocery store to pay for groceries, and you've been doing this for 3 years,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel. You see other gurus talking about how awesome it is to collect 60 cents a square foot, or running some other bullshit story, or wanting to sell you SEO services for $500 or $1,000, $4,500 per set of 3 keywords, taking money out of their pocket. It's really hard for them to trudge forward. So what I'm trying to do is put people on the south side of some milestone. It doesn't even have to. It doesn't matter what the milestone is. In this case, it happens to be $1 million. Why? As revenue, because it's less than 6% of my database, and it seems to be their brass ring. Because I get questions all the time. Joe, how do I scale my business? You know what that always means to me? Like they're sub-million and they're looking to go post-million. I almost have nobody who's $1.5 million company asking me how to scale and grow. They know the answer. Persistence, long game, a book, keeping track of your clients, adding services, growing your expertise, never stopping learning. Like, you guys know. And so what I'm trying to do is frame it in a way where these guys who don't know that, get them to the table, and then get to listen to your story.
Yeah.
Which tells them the same damn thing over and over and over again.
And I have other carpet cleaners or other people that are in roof cleaning business, and I've called them on the phone and said, seem to have a successful business, you're in Yakima, can I drive down and spend half a day with you? I'd like to see your business. I'd like to ask you questions. Are you willing to? And
So this is the advice that you're giving.
Some of them have said, yeah, come on down. We'll do lunch. I buy lunch.
Yeah.
And we end up having, and I may have met them at a CCIW meeting.
Right.
And
Facebook isn't good enough for this, right? Don't reach out on Messenger and Facebook and look for a guy 10 states over that you're actually not going to get to do a ride along with. Because these guys, what they're really chasing is freedom. This ability to be critical mass in their personal life, where they're not worried about bills, right? They're not rolling in the Benzes, but they're not stressed over cash. And in their business, that freedom is immense. When you have that little bit coming off the top, and as it grows, you're able to add more people, and you know that you're going to meet payroll, and you know that you're getting paid, and you know that the vendors are getting paid, and everything's happy. That's contentment, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your biggest advice for getting people to that point?
Work hard. I mean, because I had a tech services department and a janitorial department, there was 20 years of my life that I cleaned carpets and washed windows from 9 to 5, went home, had dinner, and then did janitor work till midnight, on my janitorial accounts.
Yeah.
So maybe I worked a little too hard, but I've always been kind of active that way.
Yeah. 44 years. Any regrets?
But it's work hard. I
Yeah.
mean, it's and enjoy what you do. I mean, I always used to say, until about 5 years ago, I used to joke around and say, yeah, I've been doing this for 35 years, but still wondering when I'm going to get a real job, you know. But now, and then I realized, this is my life. I really love it. I love doing what I do, and I love cleaning things. But there was a lot of years where it was like, you know, long days, hard work. I mean, it's the American dream. It's not going to come. It's not going to come easy.
Otherwise, everyone would do it.
Yeah. So, but if you love it, you'll put in a 60-hour week, you know, and you'll accept a call while you're having Thanksgiving dinner because someone's in trouble.
Because no one else is going to accept the call.
That's right. I think the only thing I'd add to that is, I think you need to accept the fact that you might be able to do it on your own, but it's going to mean so much more when you build something that you're doing it with a community of people that you bring underneath you. And I've been fortunate to have so much mentorship with Doug. And as you bring people in, I hear a lot of people complaining about, well, there's no good help out there.
Yeah, a lot.
I'm
probably going to do a series on that.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
And I think the reality is I think you need to accept the fact that you're probably not going to pull off that $1 million mark on your own.
Yep.
If you do, great, awesome.
Yeah. Call me.
Yeah.
Told cool story.
Would love to.
Haven't seen it.
But the fact is you're probably not. And I think that once you realize that we get to build something cool when we create a company, and we get to build something that's made of people.
Yeah.
And I just think that's the coolest part
So
about
cool.
what I get to do and I get to do every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But finding the right people, I think the one thing I'll say is that when you're an owner, how you act every day, eventually you'll see those most common traits start to get reflected in the people who are
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Absolutely. But I've also noticed when you hire, be careful because it's a two-way street, because you'll find yourself and you'll see the culture of your company starting to become like them as well. So it's a two-way street as well. So protect that. Protect your culture, hire smart, fire fast if needed.
Yep. Yep. Hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
Like if you're finding it so hard to find good people, chances are pretty good you suck as a leader. Like you have to fix that first. And you have to fix whatever's going on within yourself. I heard a quote today that I really liked. You can tell kind of the size of the man by the size of the thing they get angry about. Right? I mean, world injustice, I hope you're pissed off with me. Right? Gum on the floor, I'm not going to sweat it. Pick the stuff up and move on. Right?
Right.
So I think it's a kind of a cool thing there. And it's just that leadership, you know, bitching about, the millennial group, right? Or the people who don't want to work, who don't want to, you know, I can't find, there might be some truth to that. I'm not going to say that it's 100% your fault, but like the winners that I talk to, they don't really seem to have that problem.
Yes. It's all about leadership.
Really.
And great leadership attracts the kind of people who you have an opportunity to create into leaders.
Yeah. It's like people who come here, like, you know, when they're going through the interview process, I like to find the people who are used to being the smartest person in the room because it'll fit with our culture. But then instantly, they're so not the smartest people in the room.
It's great. Yeah, A players want to play with A players.
That's right.
Yeah.
Doug, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you for your story. Jay,
You got
awesome.
it. Thanks.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your attention. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go check out the demo and give us a call.